My name is Sarah Clays, and I was born a long time ago, in the year 1638. My husband Peter and I lived about 30 miles northeast of this place, in a small town called Salem Village. Back then, life was very hard as we eked out our existence right at the edge of the wilderness. We were afraid of the Indians that lurked in the woods just beyond our periphery, and we heard about massacres in the northern reaches of Maine. Winters were long and hard, and family disputes over property lines seemed to last for generation after generation. Our leader, Reverend Parris, was stern and judging, and he always had us living in fear of breaking the rules of our very strict Puritan religion. And the devil was very real to us. He was always lurking, waiting to prey on our weaknesses and bring us over to the dark side. The story really starts on one of those long winter nights when a bunch of young girls were just getting together to entertain themselves because they were very bored. It was started by Reverend Parris's own slave, Tituba, and his daughter, Abigail. They decided that they wanted to tell each other's fortunes and figure out who they were going to marry. It was all in good fun, and again, just to entertain themselves. But as soon as Reverend Parris heard about it, he immediately deemed it the work of the devil. That's all our community needed. All of that fear and distrust that had lasted for so long just exploded as one accusation of witchcraft after another flew. The young girls didn't want to be blamed, so they would go around talking about the most heinous things, that women and men would go around and kill babies and make crops fail and fly through the woods and the air in brooms and bringing people over to worship the devil. All these girls had to really do was just to tell us stories, and the hard thing was that after 1, 2, 5, 20, 50 of us got put into jail because of this, we were put there because the judges said it was okay to take in what they call spectral evidence, which means all the girls had to do is tell some stories, and it never had to be proven with any kind of evidence. I really thought that the community would balk when my dear sister Rebecca Nurse was taken away. Rebecca was the most dear, sweet, dedicated, devout, and most well-respected member of the community. But they didn't. And they didn't do it when I got taken away, and then my dear sister Mary Esty was taken away as well. That summer of 1692, we spent in the dark, hot jails where there was little privacy, little food, little water, and the very shackles that bound us had to be paid for by our own families. Men, women, and even children were held, and we had no idea what was happening on the outside. All we knew was that every so often they would come and take away some of us, and they would never come back. They took away my sister Rebecca, and they took away my sister Mary, and I never saw them again. You know, I never knew why I survived and my sisters didn't. I was always the most sauciest, most outspoken of us sisters. But I never knew. I just had lost the will to live. One night, my husband Peter and my family came to take me away, and we started a very long walk. We wanted to get away from that place, so we walked many miles, mostly in the dark because we were afraid of being caught again. My husband told me that we were going to go to a place called Danforth's Farms, and I was filled with dread because Thomas Danforth was none other than the deputy governor who had been one of the magistrates who oversaw my first trial and was largely responsible for putting me into jail. I didn't want to go there. I said to Peter I didn't want to go to any more persecution and death, but he said no, that Thomas Danforth, along with his friend Samuel Sewell, had had a change of heart and was doing everything that they could to reverse the trials in Salem. We never knew why he invited us to his lands. Maybe he felt guilty for the role that he had in the early part of the trials. We'll never know. So we walked and walked, and finally we reached this place, this set of caves. We arrived in the winter of 1693, and it was too late in the season to build any of our own homes. So we hid out in these caves during that long winter, and we were worried that we weren't going to be able to survive, but we did. So then it was the spring of 1693, and we survived that horrible winter. And nearby, we all built our homes. My husband and I, and our nieces and nephews and children. We all built the buildings along a road that's now called Salem End Road. My house is in very bad shape. I understand that there's a group of people trying to preserve it, and I just wish them all the luck I can muster. So we went on to build this town from scratch. We built our meeting house that was located right where we're standing, and the burying ground grew up around it. My husband Peter was one of the signatories for the order that established the town of Framingham in 1700. We called it Framingham in honor of Thomas Danforth's home in England called Framlingham. If you look around these burying grounds, you'll see the tombstones of my family, the names of Cloys and Clays, and Town, and Bridges, and Nurse, and Esty. This is the oldest part of the burying ground. And if you look really closely, right here, it says 1704. There's not a name on that grave. I died in 1704, not long after the town of Framingham was incorporated. Historians have never proven that I lie here, but I think I'm going to keep that secret to my grave. But regardless of where I'm buried, my family and I form the foundation of this town, and I hope you'll keep our memory alive.